How many of you have heard of a Tesla? Exactly. Most people have. However, Tesla is not the first electric vehicle, and by no means is it even the only electric vehicle today. Electric vehicles have, the conception came from Leonardo da Vinci back in the 1500s. The actual creation of designs started in the 1800s. The first practical full-size one, for example, was developed by a man in Scotland, and it was nothing more than a battery-powered buggy. It was a non-rechargeable battery, so whenever his battery was out of power, he had to replace the whole battery pack. The heyday of the electric cars was the late 1800s to the early 1900s. This was their heyday because at that time, it was easier to start an electric vehicle, and there were no emissions or fumes, where if you can imagine the fumes from back then, they were much, much worse than they are even today. So for women, electric cars were especially popular, easier to drive, easier to start, and no smells. During this time, during the heyday, the first land speed record was actually set by an electric car in France. From then till now, over 9 land speed records have been set by electric vehicles. Now, around the 1920s, oil was discovered in Texas, the Texas oil fields. While this was good for Texans, it signaled the decline of the popularity of the electric vehicle. With gasoline being so cheap and people being able to get farther on a tank of gas than they would on a battery, people preferred the gas vehicle. Plus, at that time, the fumes from a gas vehicle had decreased. They were still there, but they had decreased from the original amount. Now, in the 1970s, there was an embargo on gas from the Middle East. So gasoline prices here in America, they went up. When the gas prices went up, people became more interested in alternative fuel sources, electric being the top of the list. One of the things that brought this to mind for people was the first manned vehicle in outer space was actually electric powered. Now, if you look up here, you'll see the 2 most popular electric vehicles from the 1970s. You'll notice they look more like a vehicle than a buggy, of course, and they're much smaller than most vehicles. And they probably couldn't go as fast as most other vehicles as well at this time. At the end of the 1970s, however, gas prices went down again. When gas prices went down, the popularity of the electric vehicle went down as well. Fast forward to the 1990s. We all became much more aware of how fuel sources affected our environment. So we looked for alternative fuel sources, both for our homes and for our vehicles. This is where people start thinking Tesla came in, but they were not the first. GM actually had the EV1 come out before Tesla. However, it was so expensive that the average consumer never even saw it. It was not made available to them. Tesla came out with the help of the subsidy from the government. They came out with the first affordable electric vehicle for the average consumer. It looks like a normal car. Well, it does look like the Back to the Future car, but it looks like the average car. It has good speed. It has good amenities. I mean, and who wouldn't want to own a car where the doors open up, right? But Tesla is not the only one anymore. Once Tesla started making them available, all the manufacturers, the common manufacturers today, started making their own vehicles available. You will find hybrids of your favorite compact SUVs. You'll find Porsche with their beautiful 4-door sedan up here. Ford has turned their Mustang into an electric vehicle. Tesla has now come out with a motorcycle as well. And over here you'll see a family car that's an electric vehicle. While electric vehicles are not a new invention, they've had an amazing history, starting with the conception by Leonardo da Vinci and coming through all the way to today, where the technology to build an electric vehicle is not the same technology, but it is still producing an amazing vehicle.